You've likely felt it before. That fleeting moment where everything just clicks, time dissolves, doubt vanishes, and action flows without resistance. Maybe it was while painting, writing, dancing, speaking, or even during a quiet walk in nature. For a breath of time, you weren't thinking about the next move. You simply were the move. No hesitation, no overanalysis, only seamless, inspired doing. And then, just as easily, it was gone. You might have tried to chase it back, through willpower, through technique, but the harder you tried, the more elusive it became. There's a reason for that. True creative flow isn't accessed by brute force or clever planning. It emerges when the conscious mind yields its grip, and another form of intelligence, quieter, deeper, intuitive, takes the reins. The ancient Japanese called this state mushin, or mind without mind. In it, thought doesn't disappear. It simply dissolves into awareness, becoming a servant rather than a master. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, and monks all describe the same realm differently, but they agree on one thing. Once entered, it transforms not just what you do, but who you are. But how do you live from that state consistently, at will, not by accident? And what does it really mean to surrender to the subconscious without losing control? What if the key to effortless mastery wasn't found in adding more to your plate, but in letting go of what's weighing you down? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover may change how you create and live forever. Mushin isn't an intellectual concept. It's not something you figure out, it's something you experience. When the mind is calm, opportunities that were always present rise into awareness, as if the fog has lifted. There's no force behind this shift, it happens automatically. Just like a stream flows around a rock without resistance, your being begins to navigate life with grace when mental tension is released. Bruce Lee, often remembered not just as a martial artist, but as a philosopher in motion, captured this beautifully. There is no opponent, because the word I does not exist. This isn't about denying identity, but about dissolving it into presence. The I that tries to win, to perfect, to control, is suspended. What remains is awareness, free from identification. In this space, performance becomes spontaneous, decisions intuitive, and results astonishing. In flow, the subconscious is given full permission to act, unencumbered by doubt or analysis. The conscious mind does not disappear, it becomes subtle, like a quiet observer, only stepping in when truly needed. This surrender is not passive, it's an active yielding to inner intelligence, where action and awareness become inseparable. You don't move your brush across the canvas. The brush moves itself, guided by something deeper. In this dynamic, the conscious and subconscious begin to harmonize, not unlike two children playing freely on a sunlit playground. One offers structure, the other brings spontaneity. Neither dominates. And in this balance, creative magic unfolds. Problems are not solved in the traditional sense. They are danced with, curiously explored, transformed into beauty. Philosopher William Walker Atkinson wrote of a higher function, intuition, descending from what he called the above conscious planes. He described it as immediate knowledge, direct apprehension untouched by logic. When you're in flow, intuition becomes the silent whisper that guides your every move, bypassing the need for explanation. Ideas surface without planning. Words form without rehearsing. Every brushstroke, every chord, every gesture becomes divinely timed. Your skill is no longer a tool. It becomes an extension of your being. And the moment you begin to trust that unseen hand, as Atkinson described, you realize you're not performing for life, you're performing with it. Awareness and action dissolve into one continuous motion. The creative becomes the created. Flow is not something to be chased, it's something to be welcomed. The moment you stop trying to grasp it like a possession and instead treat it as a familiar rhythm of life, it begins to arise with ease. Much like a child who becomes absorbed in solving a puzzle, not for achievement, but for the sheer joy of discovery, you start to relate to challenges differently. The fear of failure fades. The pressure to perform weakens. What's left is curiosity, pure and unfiltered. You begin to see challenges not as threats, but as invitations. Each difficulty is a doorway, each step a piece of an unfolding masterpiece. It's in this moment of play that you come alive, not to win, but to wonder. Within this state, the mind moves multidirectionally. Divergent thinking opens the gates to endless possibilities, allowing your imagination to roam free. Convergent thinking then gathers these wild ideas, gently weaving them into form. Lateral thinking bridges the two. It becomes the playground where both chaos and order dance. You don't just analyze or dream, you blend both in real time. Creativity no longer feels like a burden. It becomes your native language. Like a musician improvising a melody without sheet music, your movements become intuitive, and every action carries the essence of something deeper than words. This way of being is not confined to artistic expression. It stretches into every aspect of life. During a business negotiation, you sense timing and tone instinctively. In conversations, you listen beyond words. While snowboarding down a slope or preparing a meal, your body finds rhythm, flow, and grace on its own. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi described this as the autotelic experience, where the act itself becomes its own reward. In that space, you no longer seek fulfillment in the result. You are fulfilled in the act of creating, moving, being. It is here that bliss quietly arises, not from external validation, but from total immersion in the now. In the words of a Zen master echoed by Bruce Lee, when the swordsman stands against his opponent, he just stands there with his sword, which, regardless of all technique, is ready only to follow the dictates of the subconscious. Replace the sword with your pen, your voice, your idea. Suddenly it's not you acting alone. It is your subconscious wielding your craft, expressing itself effortlessly through you. There's a certain intimacy to this state. Atkinson once wrote of the unseen hand, a force that feels like a father, mother, lover, and friend all at once. Not commanding, not dragging, just guiding, gently clasping yours. In creative flow, that hand moves your own. Decisions no longer come from fear or strategy, but from an inner knowing that needs no justification. Distractions lose their grip. Fear vanishes before it can speak. Doubt dissolves before it fully forms. All that remains is clear, directed motion. The environment begins to mirror your internal calm. Coincidences become common, synchronicities multiply, and you begin to realize what's manifesting outside is simply an echo of your inner alignment. You are no longer at the mercy of life, you're co-composing it. Each act of creation leaves an imprint, not just on canvas or page, but on the psyche itself. What emerges from your hands becomes a mirror of your own evolution, and in that mirror, you witness transformation. The art changes because you have changed. The outside world adjusts because your inner world has shifted. You begin to live in a feedback loop of expansion. As you express, you evolve. As you evolve, you express more powerfully. Suddenly, environments change. People enter your life aligned with your vision, and time bends around your focus. You've become autotelic. You don't just enter flow, you are flow. And from this place, manifestation becomes inevitable. No longer a wishful ritual, it's a natural consequence of your alignment. Return often to what you love. Let it become your meditation, your teacher, your transformation. The more you show up, the more effortless it becomes. And so we end with a reminder, not of effort, but of surrender. Every moment I show up and perform what I love, I allow it to further harmonize my inward relationship between conscious and subconscious. I yield completely and allow everything to happen naturally and effortlessly. Because in the end, mastery of the mind without mind is not about doing more. It's about finally allowing yourself to be who you truly are. And from that place, everything follows.